APMs, this one was the most drastic difference in APM. The average APM for the human player was 201, and the average APM for the undead player was 164. That's very interesting to me to see that. Basically because that's over 100. It's like 107. No, it isn't. How much is that? 70 something odd APM difference. Again, like I said, it's about an average. Hold on, let me pull up a calculator. 201 minus 164. That one's not as bad. The other one must have been the one with the biggest difference there. But 37 APM difference. It's still, considerable, I guess. Not as much as the other one. Another interesting thing about this replay, and I'll spoil it for you guys before it comes, is we will see an Infernal and the Dreadlord first, using lots of sleep surrounds. These replays are so entertaining to me. You rarely see an undead player so skillful with a Dreadlord anymore, and I don't know why. He's so effective, and it can catch opponents off guard all the time because everybody is going to expect that you're going to have that Death Knight and you're going to have that Lich. When you start with the Dreadlord, it throws people off. They're like, okay, now I'm going to have to completely change my mindset and figure out how I'm going to deal with Sleep Surround and how I'm going to deal with a lot of ghouls, because that's generally what is accompanied a Dreadlord because of his vampiric aura. What I don't see anymore, and it would be very, very entertaining to me to see, an undead player who uses the Dreadlord and uses Carrion Swarm. I did an audio commentary probably, I don't know, a year or more ago, a long time ago, and I forget what the undead player's name was, but he did use Carrion Swarm, and I think he was used a secondary hero, used a Drow Ranger, and it was up against a Night Elf player, and it was very, very effective. It was kind of how to stop a Night Elf expansion and all that versus undead. So I don't think much has changed since that audio commentary. I think we've gone through maybe one or two other patches, obviously the most recent one and another one, but I don't think a lot changed in that matchup so far since. Most Night Elf players will tell... I'm not saying most Night Elf players. The Night Elf player that I talk to on a regular basis, semi-regular anyway now, is Lado, since we brought him on, and he says his toughest matchup is versus Night Elf. So we'll see how that works out later on. Obviously, this replay is not going to be on Undead versus Night Elf. Or, sorry, it's versus Undead. Lado's a Night Elf player. Blech. Alright, we're going to get unpaused. I blabbed for too long already. We're going to unpause in 5 seconds, 1 minute, 2x speed, and we'll look at it from minimum 2's point of view. It's the Undead player, or we'll look at it from Chinko's point of view. All over the place, guys, sorry. Unpause, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Not a lot to say in the beginning. The human player is going to go for that fast expansion, but because the undead player does have that Dreadlord and lots of ghouls, he's going to be able to keep it down for quite some time. Normally when I see humans going a fast expansion, the counter to that is to set up an expansion of your own. Basically because the human's not going to have as big enough army earlier on to stop your counter expansion. However, in this case, the undead player opts to stick with just his main base and put as much pressure as he can on early to kind of delay the effectiveness of that expansion. Another thing that's going to delay the effectiveness of that expansion is all the kills Sleep Surround is going to get on this Archmage, and all the town portals that are going to be rebought by the human player in order to continually keep his Archmage and his army alive through all the Sleep Surrounds. So really cool to see how this works. And because he's having to buy so many scrolls of Town Portal, I'll talk more about that later when it actually happens, I guess. But we'll see how that kind of stops the effectiveness of, or at least hurts the effectiveness of having that fast expansion. So not only is your tech delayed, your expansion isn't giving you the resources you thought it would, you're behind. That's very dangerous for a human because you want to be able to get that advantage as quickly as possible, however, and get to that tier 3 late game big 100-foot army and just roll your opponent. That's kind of the human strategy. Play defensively, make it to the end. That's their idea. As far as I know anyway. You don't see a lot of human players doing it any other way anyway. So here's that expansion going up again. Like I said, was just forced to cancel it. He didn't even try to keep it up with all those ghouls and skeletons and summons around. He knew he was going to lose it. The Scroll Town Portal was already wasted, so this undead or this human player is going to lose his Archmage. That's 1 kill. Somebody start counting and keeping track because I'm going to forget. Anyway, we'll see the Dreadlord had to use his TP to get out because the human kind of counter-surrounded, but it was a little bit late. because he lost his town portal, that actually doesn't matter as much for the undead player at this point because he's a close spawn. If it was further away, that probably would have hurt him a little bit more, but being close spawn is definitely more beneficial. I don't know, close spawn is considered on this map. This is probably the closest spawn he could be at. Actually, it's the same distance, I think, from the other one, the one on the left. So the west side and east side are the best sides to be on. No, I take that back. This is the best place to be on in this matchup because then you can quickly get to your opponent's expansion. Whereas if he was on the western point, his opponent's expansion was on the north there, he would have to go 2 gold mines over to get it. So yeah, he's in probably the best location he could be for this matchup on this map. I haven't played a lot of the new maps. We just did a commentary on Road to Stratham, which is I thought was a pretty interesting map. I like him. I like all the new maps. I just haven't played them. The only maps I haven't really played a lot of are the 2v2 maps, and those are a little weird. I don't know if I like that one with the teleporters in the middle of it. I forgot the name of it. That one's a little strange. It's interesting, but it's strange, you know. So another weird thing, I guess, if you want to say it's weird, about this game is the amount of creeping that's being done. Anyway, about an orc play. If this was an orc match, definitely see a lot more creeping going on if there was an orc opponent in this game. But having human and undead, it's strange to see that they're not creeping. I don't know. It just seems like they should be creeping more, but I guess they're just kind of waiting each other out and seeing what's happening. Very lucky, I guess, for that undead player to have scouted the human player running towards his natural expansion. So he's able to get some repositioning on there and try to get another kill off on this Archmage. He's running to keep up with his Dreadlord, and he has to burn that TP because he doesn't want to get slept around and take any damage from it at all. So he burns his TP. That's 2 TPs burned and at least 1 death. So he's probably, there might have been another one that when I wasn't paying attention. So taking a look at that, the undead player got a staff of teleportation, which is kind of cool to see on a Dreadlord. I don't think it's as useful for him as it is for other heroes. And we do see Gargs. Now this is a cool thing for Ghoul Garg. Now I'm not an undead player by any means, and I don't pretend to know anything about it, but this is very, very effective use of gargoyles in this strategy. If you're going to go Ghoul Garg and you're going to start with Dreadlord, try to practice using your gargoyles as a means of harassment. And look, he doesn't have that many. He's got, what, 5 of them? And he was able to take out a tower while it was being constructed and pick off a few peasants. Force that human player to build more towers at his main base that he might have just left a little bit more undefended. So again, more wasted resources by this human player on that. Another hero death, so that's 2 deaths and 2 scrolls of town portal wasted or burned. Definitely looking at a bigger advantage going for this undead player. See, even though he doesn't have that expansion up, he's still able to keep up by playing very, very aggressively and getting a lot of those kills and burning a lot of those TPs. So second expansion up by the human player now was playing a kind of Nicolar style or Shriek, I guess. I don't know if mass expansions on Lost Temple with lots and lots of towers. That's kind of the way to do it. But the undead player's on top of it. Doesn't allow the expansion to get, God, I'm saying too much, to be that effective. If it was my opportunity here, I might have let this expansion go a little bit while because he was just letting him feed off all those peasants. He could have got more and more experience. However, he doesn't need it, so this is probably a good idea just to take it out, not have to worry about it, not have to worry about it getting fortified later, and a chance of having to beat it later with lots of towers. Because that's one thing this strategy isn't that effective against, is towers. And you notice that the undead player will not fight against those towers. If there's towers up and it's a bad position, and he's not pressing like the human's natural expansion anymore because he knows ghouls and gargs are pretty weak to those towers. And really, undead doesn't have a really good counter to towers. I mean, the best bet they would have is Frost Runs with a Death Knight healing them, and in this case, we're going to see a Dreadlord getting Infernal, and that would be a really good counter if we can get the Infernal to tank for you.